Hello, everybody. I think there was a problem with this, with a former version of this presentation that I made for another YouTube channel. And well, for some reasons I don't understand, it went bad. So I'm going to make a second recording of the presentation, not to have problem with them. And I will upload to my YouTube channel, like we have on the previous version. Anyway, this is not your problem. Is my problem. I have here a little speech that I want to give. I want to be also a little bit more brief than I was yesterday. And I want to make a little bit of a comment of my personal story that I don't have it in the channel that I wanted to upload for a long time. My name is Abraham Garcia. I hold a doctoral degree from the University of Maastricht. And I have been working, it started being like a hobby. And in the last 5 years, I have been doing this a little bit more than 5. Probably I started like 2015, so it's almost 7 years that I've been doing this professionally, helping people to find their roots. I was invited to give this speech. There were some problems. It seems not going to come out, so I thought it was worth the information, and I'm going to put it in my channel. I don't have so many videos in English, so that's why I think it's important also to record this one. Okay, so this is our website, raicesjudías.com. We have also, we are an enterprise in Israel. There is a legal entity. It's called Shorashim Yehudim. We have also a YouTube channel. Probably you're watching us from the YouTube channel. And if you want to follow up, please subscribe. We also have this website where we started uploading information on Jewish content. And if you want to hire us, or if you want to know anything from us, you can go to the website and get some information. Most of it is in Spanish, but you can always use Google Translate. And if not, just write to us. We speak English. The secretary also speaks English, so there is no problem. And you can write her and contact her at this email. Okay, and we will help you to focus your petition in the best way that we can do it. I have scheduled the presentation as follows. I'm going to give a little brief an introduction, a little introduction on the historical situation of the Anusim. Who are they? Where do they come from? I will also tell you a little bit of my personal travel. How did I discover that I was Jewish, and how did I actually find out my roots? The present work that we are doing at the company, at Raíces Judías, it's called Jewish Roots Ltd, or we also have a name in Hebrew because we are based in Israel, and it's Shorashim Yehudim. Okay. At the end, I will give also a little historical perspective on the situation of the Anusim right now. Okay, so who are the Bnei Anusim? The Bnei Anusim are basically the people that were Jewish in Spain, and they were expelled by the Catholic kings in 1492. Okay, the Anusim, the word Anusim, we normally use it, without O. We just write Anusim. This is more of a French spelling. The word comes from Hebrew, and it actually means to be forced from conversion, to be forced to convert. So it's these people that were Jewish and they were in Spain, and the only chance that they have, the history tells us that the only chance that they have was to actually make a conversion, and they didn't do it voluntarily because they didn't have the choice or the means to escape Spain. What happened with these people? What happened with these people? What happened to them? To the descendants of these people that in 1492, 500 years ago, they were forced to convert. Many of these, the people that were found in this situation, they did not reveal the truth to their children. So it means that the children actually live all their life without actually knowing that they were Jewish. And this was done for the simple reason of saving their life, okay? Because it was very dangerous to be Jewish, since the Inquisition could persecute you and kill you. So some of these people during generation, they kept traditions like candle, they have some cleaning habits, there are food tradition, there was always some special foods that were kept by the descendants of the Jews. Like some of them have some culinary basis on the Torah, following the halacha, like not mixing the milk and the meat, you know. What we find also is there was always a very big secrecy in the family, and they were always scared of something. Like they didn't know exactly what happened with them. They were always like they didn't want to tell, you know, like nobody should know anything about your life, because they always have a big fear that something could happen to them, and this was kept by the generations. Despite this, the Inquisition did persecute them for 400 years. So it's a huge amount of time. Like if you think about the Nazis in Germany, they persecuted Jews for up to what, 20 years. The Inquisition was 400 years, and they keep the records of the family, and there are family trees in Madrid, you know, that and there are boxes on boxes of many generations of Jews, descendants from this first one that were forced to convert. Their life, and our life, that has never been easy. With the time, this history became tradition, and it became kind of a legend. And what we found right now is that most of these people are come back to us, you know, to ask for help on, you know, on a genealogical basis, and they basically have this feeling that some grandfather or grandmother has told them that they were coming from the Jews, but they have nothing to prove. So it has become, at the time that they approach us, most of these, they are clients. Sometimes they become also friends, but they are clients right now, and they come to us and they come with a legend, you know, with an intuition that they could be, but they have nothing to substantiate their history. Where are they now? Where do we find the Bnei Anusim today? Most of them live in Christian countries. Okay, they are not aware of their Jewish past, so there are a huge amount of people that will not know that they have an ancestor that was Jewish. Every day, we hear a new story from somebody who suspects about its Jewish ancestry and is willing to do some research to figure out what, you know, to figure out who exactly, not how, who was the ancestor that he has, that it was Jewish. What is their religion, and where do they find themselves? Most of them, as I have said before, they find themselves in Christian countries, and they feel that they are Christians, very heavy Catholic Christians, and they come with a the suspicious that they might not be 100% Jewish, and slowly they start moving to some form of Judaism. Some of them do have conversion. Some of the people also, they find all the information, and they remain somewhere in the middle, never making a natural formal conversion to Judaism. I also think this is a very personal search, you know, of the roots of any person, and we should respect that everybody stop where he desires actually to stop. This is a prayer. Now I'm going to start telling you about my personal story. This is a prayer. It's a Jewish prayer that we have at the beginning of the Siddur. You know, I don't know who is actually seeing the video and what is the knowledge that they have about the ancestors, the Jewish prayers. But this is the main prayer that we have in Judaism, the one that we pray every day, 3 times a day. It's called the Amidah. It's not at the beginning of the Siddur. It's one of the main prayer. This is the most important prayer together with the Shema. It has 18 blessings, and one of the blessings is this one that it says, Tekiah Shofar Gadol, okay, sound the great shofar for our liberty, and raise a banner to gather our exiles and gather us together quickly from the four corners of the earth into our land. Blessed are you, Adonai, gather of the dispersed people of Israel. My personal story, I woke up in a Christian family, not knowing anything that we have some kind of Jewish ancestry. And if I make all the way, to be where I am right now, that I'm living in Israel and living in Jerusalem and following all the laws from Judaism, the So this is my personal feeling, as I was saying, that if I'm able to be here, and if many people are actually being able to be raised and come with this consciousness that they might have, with this doubt that they might have a Jewish past, I have this strong feeling that they are actually is because of the Jews that are praying for them to come back, that we are actually being able to raise this consciousness. At the same time, many things has happened. Like, for example, the issue with the Spanish and the Portuguese nationality. For some other means, raise the awareness of people that they could have a Jewish ancestry. Okay, there is another part that I wanted to point out before I go deep into my personal story. There is a page of the Talmud, okay? Talmud has many masechet, so it has many sections. The first one of them is of the Babylonian Talmud is Berachot in the page 12b, so it's in the second page of Berachot. We have some rabbis discussing about, what will happen with the exodus from Egypt, and what I think is more important is that they say actually that the exodus from Egypt with the time, this is a very important tradition in Jewish costume to sit in the Laila Seder and to remember the exodus from Egypt is very much deep into the roots of Judaism, and it has been kept forever and ever. But in this Masechet, they are raising the issue that when the Jews come back from the exile, this will be even more important, and we will remember more strongly this fact that they are coming back from all these lost countries, and they are actually coming back to Israel and willing to come to be present in here. This is also, I hear once a rabbi talking about how the shofar, the sound of the shofar, Hagabol, the last shofar that is going to be sound on the moment that the Mashiach will come, how it's going to sound and what kind of noise it will be. And he was actually asking the question whether it will be a huge noise that will be heard that for everybody, or will be some kind of unsettlement that they will be set on your heart and will not leave you in peace till you are here in Israel. And when I hear him actually making this distinction, I understood that what brought me here was this shofar hagadol that somehow my soul was able to listen to. And now I'm here, okay? this is also when I start hearing so many families thinking that they might have a Jewish ancestry. I start feeling that it might be actually, like we are at the end of the time and the Mashiach is actually about to come, and we are at the beginning of this big subjugation from all the kingdoms, and we will remember this. We are kind of making history, the Jewish history. Okay, so I was born in Cordoba, in Spain. Cordoba is in the south of Spain, in Andalusia. The region is called Andalusia. It was one of the most important cities in the old times. At a certain moment, 10th, 11th century, it was the biggest city in the world. It was very big under Arabic domination, but the Jewish community was very, very big. It's famous nowadays for the patios. We keep this Andalusian view in the streets, and the most famous Jewish person that comes that everybody knows is the Ramban, Maimonides, Rabbi Moshe Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimonides. Okay, and Ben Maimon, and the name in Greek is Maimonides, and most of the people know him as Maimonides. He wrote many important tractates. Here in Israel, very few people know where is Cordoba, but if you tell them that you're coming from the city of the Ramban, everybody knows who is the Ramban with M. Okay, so when we were young, we were told that in the story, in the history class of the school, when we were children, we were told that the Jews were expelled in 1942. Therefore, when I started questioning myself, that it was very difficult for me, because it was kind of the way that they taught us in the schools. It was a linear way of understanding the history. So the Jews were expelled from Spain, and nobody actually, no Jew was left in Spain. So when I started having doubts with myself, I never thought that it was possible that there were some people with Jewish ancestry that remain living as Christians nowadays in Spain. It took me a lot of effort, and part of it was because it was taught the way that it was taught in Spain. When I was 25, I started making a PhD in the Netherlands, in the Maastricht. I worked with the United Nations, and when I was working with the United Nations, a lot of people came to me and they asked me, if I was Jewish. Many people from many colleagues, who were of Jewish ancestry from many different parts of the world. They were coming to me and asking me if I was Jewish, probably because of my name. My name is Abraham. I never changed my name. This was the name that my parents gave me. And some Jews from Strasbourg came and asked me if I was Jewish, and I said, no, I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian. Somebody from California came to me and asked me, are you Jewish? No, I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian. There was an Ukrainian girl who was not Jewish, and she came to me and she said, you're Jewish and you are lying, because I know so many Jews and you behave just like us you. So at this moment of the story, something was happening, and I didn't know where it was happening, and I was very concerned, because I said, what is this story that it seems that everybody has more connections, everybody knows the past better than me. I don't know what is happening, why this is happening, what is happening. So I started doubting. I was always very spiritual, so I started reading about the Torah. And with all these questions, I arrived to the moment that I went and checked with the rabbi of the local rabbi of Maastricht, Chabad Lubavitch rabbi. And I asked him, I said, listen, I want to learn a little bit of Torah. I know you have like a program. Is it possible for me to sit with you and to learn Torah? And then he asked me, are you Jewish? And then at this moment of my life, I didn't know what to say. I said, I don't know, I wish I could tell you. And then he said, maybe you should make a conversion. And I said, I'm not interested in making a conversion. I just want to know if I'm Jewish. Actually, I don't even want to know if I'm Jewish. The only thing that I want is to learn a little bit of Torah. So if you let me sit here, I will be happy to to listen to the Torah. If not, I will go. Like this is not no big deal. And I didn't know why, but he said the answer that he gave me was, you can sit as soon as there is another Jew. And for me, it was at that moment, it was a very weird answer. But I basically got what I wanted. So I started studying Torah with him. And then he told me, if you want to know if you're Jewish, you have two choices. Either you make a conversion or you will have to look for the mother of the mother of the mother. But it will take ages for you to actually see, like it will take ages to prove or to be able to find that any of the parents, of the mothers of the maternal lineage will be Jewish. So it took me 7 years actually to put all this question left me very unsettled, and I left the room and I said I started studying Torah with him. But the day I went to visit him, the first day, I said, like, maybe I might not be able to I might not be able to find all these roots, but I'm going to make a serious genealogical research. And I started then at that very moment. It took me 7 years of time to put all the papers together. In the middle of the way, I met Ginny Milgrom. That at that time, she was also helping me. And I was helping her because we were there. At that moment, this was the only person I knew. She was also looking for her Jewish roots, and we were the two only crazies. Okay, so I started looking for a birth certificate, birth certificate of my mother, birth certificate of my grandmother, and I continue like that. And basically, I mean, this is part of my tree. For personal reasons, I'm not going to show you all the maternal lineage, but I arrived back to 1600, okay, and then I found una limpieza de sangre, okay, so a clean, how will you say that, blood cleanness or something like that, like that somebody in the family that was coming from Almagro. Is a city in Ciudad Real. So if this is the map, Cordoba should be around here. Ciudad Real is around here, more or less here. Toledo is here, Madrid is here, okay? So this is Almagro. This is the city of Almagro. This is where for 400 years, my ancestors were. And so in this document from the Inquisition, we were able to go back 3 more generations. I was very clear stated that this family and a family that was related to our cousins, okay, they were actually descendants of the Jews that escaped from Toledo when the Inquisition settled in Toledo, and we were able to trace back these family names to Toledo, okay. Our initial family name was not, I mean, we have many family names because if you are going through the maternal lineage, every time, like you have a different name, then it changed. The original one, the family was called Mojato. And this was before the time that the Jews were forced to convert. And in 3 generations, they changed their name. So it was Mojatos before this forced conversion. And in 2 more generations, the family name was Nunez, a very common name to try to escape from the Jewish past. This was a very difficult problem for me. Also, it was not easy, even finding, and with all the work and everything, the rabbis and what do they do with him, I have very bad moments, and remember from this time, nobody really wanted to help me. Everybody wanted to actually make a conversion for me, but I was like, I said, I have been spending 7 years of time looking for this paper that you actually asked me to look for. And now that I have the papers, and now that I have everything, and now that I'm Jewish, now you say that I should make a conversion just to be safe. It was something that in my soul, it didn't let me in peace. So after a lot of fighting, there was a very big rabbi who decided to take me for the mikveh, and he gave me a paper of return, not of conversion. And there are some people who have this paper, so I know I'm not the only one. I'm not claiming to be the only Jew, that has returned to Israel. But it was very painful in every single way. It was sometimes denigrating. It was really isolating. Put me in a very dark place. At the end of all, I survived. The end of the story, of my personal story, I got married, and here in Israel I have family. We live a Jewish life, so it was worthy, but it left a piece of pain inside me. So what do we do right now? I arrived here. I was, before coming here, I was working for the European Commission, and I used to be a very good econometrician, working with the statistics and mathematics. Here, I didn't have a chance to actually apply for any position in the university. So this issue with the nationality from Portugal and Spain came, and I have a lot of expertise on making my own family tree. So I moved from one place to the other, up to the point that I set up my own company, and we have helped a lot of people to find the Jewish ancestry. We have close to 700 cases approved. Some of them have not been accepted by the Federation, by the Jewish Federation of Spain. But since we were qualified as an independent expert, and we thought that the people that were applying for us were really Jewish, we actually gave our words and signed the document and gave the approval, even with the notary, with the sign of the notary and the apostille, to say that they were Jewish, despite the fact that for the federation, it was not enough proof. This is another class that I would like actually to put maybe in the channel. What sources do we have or we don't have to prove that the ancestry of the people? We start doing a pre-study. We charge a little bit of money. This is, as I have said, the website raicesjudías.com. So if you're interested, please write to us. Write there, we'll give you the information. Take us 3 to 9 months to have it finished, the full report. It depends on the time. Like right now we have a long list of waiting list, and we are a little bit overloaded. But the strategy, we will finish soon with everybody, and we can keep on attending people, the requests from the people. Okay, so this is from another presentation. What is the value of a good genealogy? A good genealogy allows people that come to us with the tradition, with family legends, to have their history based on something real. You have the documents, you have the proof. It's important to do. I think it's very important to do as many genealogies as possible, because it generates a consciousness of a history of a part of Israel. This part that was actually that lost the connection, and nowadays we are being able to actually trace them back to the roots. So there is a part of the history that has to be rewritten still, and we are rewriting it by every genealogy that we are able to fulfill. And it also allows you to ask for the Portuguese passport, and it should help in the case that you don't have a maternal lineage to go through a giur, a conversion process. What is a good genealogy? What defines a good genealogy? It's not something that I have written. This is a good genealogy. What any good genealogy should have is to identify a criptojew, very clear, identify him with documents by the Inquisition, with documents by the bibliography, with documents from anybody. That is a serious proof, like a book, or we should not be too strict also with the documents, but because sometimes we have documents from the time of the Inquisition, and they're very difficult to read, and sometimes the Federation, for example, has claimed that they were not able to read them, and it rejected some cases because they were not able to read the documents anyway. And life with the Federation, with the Jewish Federation from Spain, with relate to genealogical trees, for us, it has been very difficult, and we didn't have any chance to talk to them, to it was not easy. But anyway, here we are. So going back to what is a good genealogy is somebody that identifies a very clear point of who is the Jew in your ancestry, and then it put all the documents. So starting from you, imagine that this is your person, that this is our client. So they have a birth certificate that links them to their parents. They have a birth certificate from the mother that links to the mother, to the grandparents, and so on and so forth. There is some kind of always document or written proof, primary documents, birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate, secondary documents, publication in genealogical report, publications in books that allows this person to build the family tree and to arrive to the person that is a criptojew. In many cases, the genealogies from the upper side of the tree have been disguised with names that are not truth. This sometimes it becomes very, very difficult, and there is a room for a very big argumentation on what could be done here. I have been invited to the next Jewish Congress here in Jerusalem, and I will try to actually make a presentation on that specific area, which are the sources that we can use and how they can be used to distinguish from somebody that has just one name that is in a list from somebody that has a whole family tree that goes to a very specific point, and it has people there in that specific area that have been persecuted by the Inquisition. Okay, so this is the end of the comment. So, and this is something I always wanted to say. It's the first time that I'm saying it online. We have Spain that has recognized that there was Jews in Spain 500 years ago. We have Portugal that is recognizing and actually giving the rights to people that were raised and that were actually, that were in Portugal 500 years ago, and today they have the right to come back. But we have Israel, that is a country of the Jews, who so far has not made any kind of public declaration. And I think, from here, I want to give a word to Bibi Netanyahu, especially to him, because he's a former president of Spain, of Israel, not today. But he has something to say because his father, Ben-Zion Netanyahu, is a very big historian, and he basically said that as far as I know, this is my personal opinion. I remember reading his text and saying that the ancestors from the Jews were not able to connect to the Jewish tradition, and it's important that we start, that Israel gets ready for a plan to accept these people that are willing actually to come back and to open the doors from them if they want to convert, if they are not able to prove, at least to open a clear way for a conversion. And if they are Jewish enough to go to Spain or to go to Portugal, I think there should be also Jewish enough to actually come here to Israel. But this is my opinion. At a certain moment, I'm just a genealogist and nobody. But since I'm giving and open my YouTube channel to everybody to see it, I think at a certain moment, I think it should be. I would like to know, what Bibi has to say, what Benjamin Netanyahu has to say about this issue. And that's all. I will not leave any space for questions because the setting is different. So if you have questions, post them in the YouTube channel and I will try to answer as soon as possible. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. And if you are here, please subscribe to the channel also. Thank you.